Hello and welcome to Minerals, Rocks, and Fossil Talks. I'm your paleo teacher, Jen, and it's time for Throwback Thursday. This is Uintatherium. It lived in Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, as well as parts of Asia during the Eocene epoch of the Paleogene period, which is about 56 to 33 million years ago. It was discovered in 1870 by U.S. Army Lieutenant W.N. Wan in Wyoming. In the United States, it can be found in the Bridger Formation, which is made of mudstones, volcanic ash, sandstones, and limestones, indicating lakes with deltas and volcanic activity. It can be found in the Washakie Formation, made of mudstones, sandstones, and volcanic ash as well, indicating rivers, floodplains, and more volcanic activity. And it can also be found in the Uinta Formation, made of mudstones, sandstones, and minor conglomerates, indicating a change in climate as water sources shrunk and the land dried out. The Asian species can be found in the Luxi Formation in China, made of claystone, pebbly to sandy mudstones, conglomerates, and dolostones of a semi-arid lake basin. Uintatherium lived alongside many other animals and plants, including Hyraceus, Helletes, Orohippus, Microcyops, Notharctus, Smilodectes, Masonics, Harpagolestes, Limnocyon, Sinopa, sorry, I can read, Patriophiles, Macaroides, Myasis, or Myacus, probably cis, Vulpivus, Metachiromus, Herpetotherium, Paradectes, Boverisuchus and Borealisuchus, along with soft-shelled turtles, tortoises, terrapins, anguid lizards, varanid lizards, which are like Komodo dragons and that type of lizard, taid lizards, which are like whiptails, boid lizards, and primitive owls and cranes. The Asian species lived alongside a lot of the same animals, but also a few endemic ones, such as Eusmilus, Cynodictis, and the terrifying Andrewsarchus. Now, it has been incredibly difficult to place Uintatherium and its relatives due to a lot of reasons. Early paleontologists, namely Othniel Charles Marsh, put them in the same family as elephants due to similarities. But Edward Cope, who often liked to disagree, he understood why Marsh would make this connection. Totally got it, but he thought the similarities were due to convergent evolution rather than them actually being related. So this was originally what they thought they might look like. But Cope was like, I don't think so. And then Henry Fairfield Osborn, all three of these paleontologists I have made videos on, so you can go and check them all out. He assigned it to the order Dinosaurata, which means terrible horn. At the time, this order was in the group Amblypoda, which was thought to contain all primitive ungulates. This has since fallen out of use, as many of those animals were shown to not be closely related at all. However, Dinosaurata lives on. But where? We may never know fully, but at one point in the 80s, they were thought to be related to lagomorphs, therefore making them giant horned rabbits. Jackalopes? Yeah. Obviously, they've changed their minds on that. They're not that closely related to lagomorphs. Today, it's been placed in Panparacedactyla. So it's a group that consists of all animals more closely related to odd-toed ungulates than to even-toed ungulates, essentially. Uintatherium was a large, robust animal. It stood about 4'11" or 1.5 meters at the shoulder, and weighed somewhere between 6,600 and 9,900 pounds, or 3,000 to 4,500 kilos. There was pronounced sexual dimorphism, with males having larger canine teeth, larger flanges on the jaws, larger sagittal crests, larger horns, and just overall larger bodies. They had bilophodont teeth in their cheeks, meaning that they had 2 ridges. This usually indicates the animal is a browser rather than a grazer, but it has also been suggested that Uintatherium was a hindgut fermenter rather than a foregut fermenter, similar to elephants and some parasitactyls, which would reduce the demands on the cheek teeth, which would give it the appearance of being a browser. So, could go either way at this point. Uintatherium lived during the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, a time which had some of the Earth's highest average global temperatures. It lived in closed canopy forests made of redwoods, elms, and birch trees during the Bridger deposition, but during the Uinta deposition, savannas began to take over as things dried out. In Asia, the lakes they lived near were surrounded by forests, swamps, and semi-arid steppes that were sometimes flooded with brackish water, so they lived in a variety of habitats. However, by the end of the Eocene, things had cooled down and dried out, and Uintatherium had gone extinct. It could only adapt so fast, and so much. Which is sad, because they're pretty cool animals. But yeah. Thanks for coming to today's lesson, and make sure you tune in tomorrow to go on a field trip to Strawberry Reservoir to check out some of those Eocene rocks that Uintatherium is found in. And I will fossilize you later.